From Studio D on the campus of the University of Oklahoma, this is Sooner Sports Pad, brought to you by Slim Chickens. And now, here's your host, Sydney Bollier.
Good evening. Welcome to Sooner Sports Pad. I'm your host for tonight, Sydney Bollier, and I'm alongside our veteran, Mr. Kemper Ball, and a new face, Miss Elise Jones, that will be joining us next semester. Now the Sooner fans had out their brooms at Marita Hines Field this weekend, and you know what that means? A sweep over the number 7 Texas Longhorns. Now get this, the Sooners didn't just beat Texas, they demolished them, taking out in run rule victories all 3 games. Freshman pitcher Nicole May grabbed her 11th win pitching for OU after pitching 4.1 innings in a shutout. She made sure to throw up her horns down. Meanwhile, Woman's Gym went down south to Fort Worth to grab some hardware as if they didn't have enough already. The ladies ended the weekend as the NCAA national runner-ups behind Michigan, losing by less than a point. Senior Anastasia Webb finished her career as an all-around NCAA national champion and also grabbed 5 NCAA All-Americans, which if you count right, that's on every single event. As for the men, they finished as the NCAA national runner-ups as well, bringing home their own hardware. And we'll talk about it later. Captain Gage Dyer went all out. Now let me throw out this crazy stat about the men's gymnastics team. Since 2001 at national championships, they've made podium every single year. That's right. Now with all this spring success, I almost forgot we have a football team that we'll be seeing in a few days at the spring game. Now what I want to know from you two is, who do you think is going to stand out at the spring game?
Well, I know. Good question. There's a lot to be excited about with this upcoming team. I think a lot of people are excited to see the young guys, the newcomers, the freshmen, but I'm singling out 3 guys that are newcomers but not freshmen. I'm talking about the Tennessee transfers. Now, this trio of players all made an impact with the Volunteers last year, and they are headlined by running back Eric Gray. Now, Gray led the Volunteers in rushing last season and will join Kennedy Brooks after his year of COVID absence. He looks like he's fitting into the offense really well in spring practice. Very excited to see what he can do for this team. Additionally, we gained an offensive lineman, Wayna Morris, a 5-star prospect and the number 9 overall prospect in 2018, who was an SEC all-freshman team in 2019. And then rounding out the trio is defensive back Keyshawn Lawrence. Now, Keyshawn is going to be a big factor in this Oklahoma defense. Obviously, the offense has been humming for the last few years now. It's just something that we expect at this point for the Sooners offense to be going at full speed. But this will be a huge addition to the Sooners defense, which might help them get over the hump in the playoffs.
You know, it's always exciting to see those fresh faces on the field, but it's also exciting to see a man on a mission, and that's why I'm looking forward to seeing wide receiver Marvin Mims. Now, Mims was a playmaker last year during his freshman season and carries serious potential this year. He broke former Sooner star CeeDee Lamb's record for the most touchdowns by a freshman in a single season, with 9 touchdowns in just 11 games. He had 37 receptions, 610 yards, and 2 100-yard games. This season, his role will look slightly different as he's one of OU's more experienced receivers, and he's been leading the younger guys on the team. He's trusted by Rattler, looked up to by a lot of players, and I think we're going to be looking at a lot of crazy catches and moving chains with Mims this season. Needless to say, Mims was a powerhouse, and after just a few spring practices, rumor has it he's back faster and more powerful this season.
I like both those picks, and we'll touch on the spring game in a little bit. But as far as Sooner standouts go, I know we have so many athletes that are doing well to choose from, but I'm going to switch it up a bit and go with a coach, and that coach has to be Porter Moser. Now, a few weeks ago, we didn't know what was to come for the OU basketball squad, but since the hire of Porter Moser in the few days, it's really stepped up. Over the weekend, the new coach secured one of the top prospects in the country, Tanner Groves, and the week before, he grabbed 3-star point guard Alston Mason. Moser also selected his support staff, which includes 2 Sooner returners and Clayton Custer, his former player at Loyola that led the team to a 2018 Final Four appearance. Now, I know we are all unsure, but it looks like Porter Moser sure came to Norman for some business. I want to know what y'all Sooners standouts are.
Well, for me, I'm going with something we've already touched on. Men's and women's gym had huge weekends, came up just short of that team national title, but they did have some individual national champions, and I'm talking about Gage Dyer from the OU men's gym team. Now, the captain of the gym team suffered an injury earlier this season that he is still struggling with. Sidelined him for 3 weeks, but you would have never known it based off his performance this weekend, where he won the vault by a score of 15.033 on an incredible triple twist vault. Now, his day did not stop there. In fact, his day had only just begun there because he won himself a second individual national championship in the floor exercise with a score of 15.266. The Mountain Pacific Sports Federation vault title winner and College Gymnast Association Specialist of the Year had an incredible season, had an incredible performance at the national championship. He came up just short of that team national title, but with the COVID rules, he does have 1 extra year of eligibility, so he may be back in Norman next year to try and get that ultimate title.
All right. Well, I'm sticking on the mat as well, but moving over to women's gymnastics to look at senior star Anastasia Webb. Now, Webb was a first-team selection across the board. She brought home 3 individual titles on vault, floor, and she won the all-around. This is the 3rd straight year for the all-around crown to come back to Norman. Webb placed 3rd on beam, 7th on bars, and brought her career total to 20 All-American honors, which ranks 2nd all-time in OU history. Now, Webb was a key aspect for this team and definitely paved her way to having a historical senior season and helped lead this team to being the runner-up.
And one thing to note is that the women's gymnasts got the best score at NCAAs that didn't win. So that shows how well they competed this weekend. Now stay with us because when we come back, we'll be talking to big man Isaiah Thomas ahead of the spring game.
SportsPad is presented by Slim Chickens. Slim Chickens tenders are always fresh, cooked to order, and made from 100% all-natural premium chicken. Buttermilk marinated, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection every time. Use the Slim Chickens app and order for curbside pickup, delivery, dine-in, or drive-through. Fresh, delicious chicken. Slim Chickens. Get Sooner Sports news and talk on demand whenever you want with the Sooner Sports Podcast. Exclusive interviews, post-game shows, and all things Sooner Sports. Subscribe today at Soonersports.com/podcast. The Sooner Sports Podcast is presented by Riverwind and Allstate. Thank you to our Cornerstone television partners, OU Health, Anheuser-Busch, and the OU College of Professional and Continuing Studies, and our community partners, Landers Auto Group, Coca-Cola, and OU Health.
Thanks for staying with us. Redshirt senior Isaiah Thomas is gearing up for his last spring game in the Crimson and Cream. Our very own Caroline Grace had the chance to catch up with the defensive lineman.
Thanks, guys. We have a very special guest today. We are joined by soon-to-be senior Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah, thank you so much for being here tonight. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start with where the team was whenever you got here and where they are now. The defense has improved tremendously, so what do you credit that to?
Well, I credit that to Coach Grinch with him coming in with his new defensive scheme and the energy and intensity that he brings. He held us accountable since day one, and as you can see, since he's been here, we've progressed in every defensive statistical category every season. So I credit that to Coach Grinch and the supporting staff around him and us believing in his process.
Okay, so redshirt your first year, and then you had 2 seasons after that, but last year you really broke out and made a name for yourself. So what did you do during the offseason, as weird as it was, just to get to where you were?
Well, I know during COVID we had a lot of time to ourselves, and our coach told us to have the mentality of what we would be doing if we weren't in the COVID pandemic. And I know Coach Kane, he came in last year around that time, and his job is to instill confidence in us, as he says, and that's one thing he told me from the jump is that he doesn't care what happened in the past. That this year, well, that past season was my year, and it was my chance to put my name on notice and to have the year that I ended up having.
And there's lots of talk about the new culture around not only the defense but the entire team. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I can say that we hold ourselves to a new standard. I know at the end of last season, this 2 seasons ago, we had a new set of words or different categories of what we have for a standard for ourselves and what we see as the bottom line and what we hold ourselves to. And I can definitely say that this culture around this team is definitely different. And we're definitely a tight-knit group. It's not just offense and defense. It's the whole OU Sooners, and you can definitely see that out there on Saturdays now.
All right, last season you didn't get a spring game, but it's coming up this weekend. How excited are you for it?
Oh, I'm excited for it. You know, it's fun to have the fans to see a sneak peek of what the Oklahoma Sooners are going to look like. I know last year we didn't get the chance to showcase that, but now it's our time to really showcase that and give them a show and have fun with it also, and have them out there and give them what they deserve to see.
Okay, so I know you're a Drake fan, but I also know you're a Cam Newton fan, because I am as well. So if you could have the choice between playing a game with Cam Newton or watching Drake front row, which one would you pick?
Oh, man. As you know, I am a big Drake fan. I'd say it'd have to be watching Drake front row. That's a once-in-a-lifetime experience that a lot of people don't get to have because, you know, those front row tickets go soon. So I'd definitely say seeing Drake front row in the concert.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Isaiah. We look forward to seeing you this weekend and watching you ball out next season. Guys, back to you in the studio.
And staying on topic, our very own Sooner Sports Pad producer Will Blessing found some time to get some insight ahead of Saturday on this year's team, including the much-anticipated freshman quarterback Caleb Williams.
The champions of the 85th Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, your Oklahoma Sooners.
It's been 4 months since the Sooners were last on the field, and this Saturday they'll be back on to face their first opponent of the season, themselves. But in order to play the spring game, the Sooners needed spring practice, something they didn't get to do last year.
Yeah, probably closer to normal. Spring a lot of times to me is, kind of predetermined, what you can do on your roster, both the experience level of your roster, where you're at with your different systems, and then just how many players you have available at every position. And so this year's been no different. I mean, we've been limited in a few ways as it's gone on, and you just adjust. But I would say our time on the field, amount of reps we've gotten, probably very comparable to what we've done in the past, other than the COVID year.
Not having that spring ball first year, it was a little different for all of us. Me, myself, not coming in early the first year. Didn't have that spring ball. And then last year with COVID, none of us having the spring ball and going into the season. You could definitely see in the beginning of the season we weren't as sharp as we should have been. So now we could just, focus on these things and get them out the way now so we could be prepared throughout summer, when we're home in May, all that stuff, fall camp, and then in the beginning of the season. So I think for all of us, it's, we just feel like we're coming together more, offensively and defensively. Yeah, no, I view myself as a veteran on this team, as somebody that's been through it, being the quarterback, being the leader of this team. So I embrace that role. I know this is my first spring ball, but it's just how the dice rolls. I'm going to prepare like, it's my last practice every day with my guys. And, like you said, these younger guys looking up to me and all these older guys on the team. We got to set the example on the field. And, yeah, I'm excited to see where myself and the other leaders on the team and how the young guys respond to us throughout the season and fall camp and all that. So we're just trying to be a positive influence to those guys.
One player likely to get playing time Saturday is freshman quarterback Caleb Williams, somebody who has been benefiting a lot from these spring practices.
Hey, Caleb's doing well, getting a lot of reps, learning a lot, throwing him in a lot of different situations. I think he's done a good job with as he makes, he does a pretty good job making plays, outside the pocket. He's athletic. He throws well on the move. Has some creativity to his game.
He's new to it, like I was at one point. So, everything isn't as smooth as you want it to be as a new guy. You're going to go through those ups and downs and, going through team runs or, just learning the offense overall. But I think, from what I've seen, he's been doing a pretty good job. He's athletic. He can throw the ball. But no, I think we all make each other better. Competing against each other, I guess you could say. We kind of feed off each other, and he'll be a good quarterback for sure.
Williams, Rattler, and the rest of the Sooners will be back in action Saturday, and kickoff is at 4 p.m. Will Blessing, Sooner Sports Pad.
When we come back, our veteran analyst, Kemper Ball, will be facing off for the last time against our rookie analyst, Alicia Jones. You won't want to miss this. for sticking with us. It's time for FaceOff, and these two have been glaring at each other all break, so I think it's going to get heated. Now, we obviously know by now that the Sooner softball team is pretty good, but I want to know how good. Kemper and Elise, what records do you think softball can beat this season?
Well, there is one particular record that is so close to the Sooners' grasp, and I think they're going to get it, and that is the all-time win streak. Now, currently, the all-time win streak is held by the 1996-97 Arizona team that won 47 straight. In second place, the 2019 Oklahoma Sooners, who won 41 straight. They came up just short, but now I think they've got a shot at it. The Sooners are currently on a win streak of 40 games dating back to last season, and that would make the record-breaking win coming against Baylor on April 28th. Now, they'll have a bit of work to do to get there. They have to go through Georgia. They play Texas Tech a couple of times. They got North Texas once, and then they have the Baylor series. But they are so close. They are easily the best team in the conference. They have winnable games the rest of the schedule. I think 48 straight is happening.
Well, I'm going to put a spin on this and talk about not just what records are going to be broken, but who's breaking them, and that's senior Jocelyn Allo. Now, Allo's already breaking records as she's positioned for a triple crown. She's currently first in the nation in home runs, has the best batting average in leads and RBIs. She's also first in the nation in slugging percentage. She's even close to breaking more records as she's second in on-base percentage and total bases. Name a record, Jocelyn Allo may be close to beating it if she hasn't already. The best part about this Sooner softball team is that some of the records Jocelyn Allo isn't holding, some of her teammates hold. Coach Gasso said it herself. This is one of the best Sooner softball teams Oklahoma has ever seen, and shattering records is just going to be too easy.
It sure is, and I do hope that both of you end up being right and they break all of those records this season. Now, I know Kemper's going to love this question. The NBA draft is right around the corner. I want to know you guys' top prospects.
Well, I can't wait for the NBA draft. If the Thunder keep losing like they have been, they're going to get a great pick, so I'm really excited about that. Could see one of these three guys in a Thunder jersey next year. Now, obviously, the top pick, Cade Cunningham. Everyone knows he's going to be the #1 pick. 6'8", ball vision like you've never seen. Unbelievable talent. Once in a generation kind of player. But this is a deep class. There's a lot of guys. Evan Mobley, the center from USC, dominant force. 7-footer with the agility of a guard. Think Joel Embiid, but faster. He's the only person in history to win Pac-12 Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and Freshman of the Year. His path to the NBA has been so clear. He's going to be a dominant force at the next level. Stretches the game, can do whatever you need him to do. After him, I've got Jalen Green. Now, Jalen Green could honestly be the 1 or 2 guy in this position. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about him after his year playing for the G League Ignite instead of going to college. But he has been balling for the Ignite. He's an unbelievable player. He's the best athlete on this list. He's the best scorer on this list. He's a great shooter, athleticism for days. Think James Harden, but more athletic and a far superior defender.
I like it.
Said the word defender.
Well, I think Cade Cunningham is undeniably one of the top picks, but here's what I have. I have Jalen Suggs, Cade Cunningham, and Jonathan Kuminga. Now, Jalen Suggs declared for the draft today after just one season at Gonzaga, and I don't see him being overlooked after the way Gonzaga's season went. Now, he averaged 14.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 4.5 assists for the Zags. And everyone knows, Charles Barkley even said that Suggs should be the #1 pick. Cunningham, an obvious choice. And then Jonathan Kuminga. Now, this is the G League star forward. He's extremely versatile, 6'8", 220 pounds. He averaged 15.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, 2.7 assists. Definitely a name that you are going to want to be familiar with before the draft.
I really like your Barkley shout out. I think he's betting on Jalen Suggs, but there's never been a bet Charles Barkley doesn't like.
You heard what Elise says. If Charles Barkley said it, you know it's correct. All right, you guys are pretty even, but now I want to see viral videos.
All right, so my last viral video ever, I wanted to get a little crazy, a little chaotic for this one, and that is absolutely what this video is. Take a look. So this is an AAU game in Indiana. The coach has just been thrown out for Baylor, and she tells the team, get your stuff, we're getting out of here. They've had enough. Another person who has enough is a ref who gets in a fight with this camera cameraman. Now a player's getting involved. Now a parent's getting involved. It's escalating steadily. Now keep watching in the bottom left corner as Neon Shirt takes him for the suplex over the shoulder, throws him down. You love to see it. You don't love to see it if you're a ref, obviously. But if you don't like refs, you love to see it.
Well, mine's a little bit more lighthearted. This one, players are always fun when they're mic'd up, so let's check it out.
Drink, Freddie!
You may have known him as Freddie Freeman, but I will only call him Frederick from now on.
Would have been better if he suplexed him at the end, I'm just saying.
Alrighty, now it's time for us to decide our winner. If you think Kemper won his very last face-off, let's hear it. And what about Elise Jones? Let's hear it for her. All right. It's pretty even, but since it's Kemper's last one, I got to give it to him.
Technicality win!
Now when we come back, I'm going to let you know about some Sooner events you don't want to miss. Baseball is looking to wreck number 5 ranked Texas Tech tomorrow. Women's tennis is looking to take over at the Big 12 Championship. And of course, the boys of fall are back for a game in the spring. Now it's time to look at the Sooner mailbag question. I have a feeling it's from Saul Meyer, and he wants to know which transfer is going to make the biggest impact.
Well, there's been so many big ones recently. I'm going with the most recent one, and that's Jordan Goldwire, transfer from Duke, ACC all-defensive team last year. Going to be a real cog in our machine.
I'm going with Tanner Groves out of Eastern Washington. His 35 points against Kansas shocked the world.
Love it.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight on Sooner Sports Pad. Catch us next week for our last show. Same time, same place, and follow us on our socials until then. Thanks for joining in. Good night.